All right, welcome back. Do you take the feedback first before we engage Mheshimiwa Onyonka and Mheshimiwa Gathenge? I think we engage you first. And now of course, you understand what the situation is, and this has been ongoing since 2013. It's going to 7 years, and there are those bills, Senate bills stuck at the National Assembly because of the question of whether they are money bills or not. And I just read the list is the County Boundaries Bill 2017, the Food Security Bill 2017, the Office of the County Printer Bill 2018, the Disaster Risk Management Bill 2018, and the County Government's Amendment Bill 2018. And is the National Assembly frustrating the Senate in the lawmaking process by committing these bills to the money bill, a process that never appears to be concluded?
I think I've listened to my two brothers speak. There are two things which always amaze me. The two speakers are actually from the same party. Right.
But the party is divided.
Jubilee Party has got a majority of the senators. It has a majority of members of parliament. It has a majority of everything.
What are you saying, Senator?
He's mumbling in the
What are you saying?
No, I'm just agreeing with my brother. Okay, they are from one party, but they are divided. This is the point. It's the point.
Okay. Why they cannot agree baffles me. Number two, there is a mistake we made in 2009 when we were discussing this thing in Naivasha. Many of the individuals who are my colleagues, members of parliament, the senior councils, the Orengos of this world, and all these individuals, including the deputy president, were actually deliberately making sure that we neutered the Senate from being the upper house and basically left it on what we call no man's land. Deliberately, we left it hanging. I think for me, the way I would want to look at it, yes, I do agree with my brother that what we need to do, and that's why I brought the issue of the two senators and the executive and all that. I think even our political party leaders need to sit down and let's look at this as we are looking towards if we'll have a referendum or not. I hope we will, but even if we don't have, let us look at it and say, what are we doing in terms of the responsibilities of the Senate, the responsibilities of the National Assembly? My honest observation and my honest belief, the Senate should be an upper house. We actually made a mistake by neutering them, by removing, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the Senate does only two things: impeach the president and deal with matters county.
Oversight, right.
I mean, and then
he's not very well at that.
Exactly. Not even that. No. Me, I'm not.
In terms of governance.
No, we can get to that discussion.
We can get to that to another day. So, Sam and Madam Zinzi, my honest observation is we need to have a rethink. And I think that is why you have the president, I believe, with former prime minister, discussing that actually we now need to really accept that we bungled this thing, and let us come and sit down and agree. How do you cascade the leadership powers, the responsibilities of our country, and where do we put what? I mean, look at the health sector. Everybody's saying we should never have devolved health. We should never devolve education. I mean, these are things that we now need to look at. The third point that I think my brother Kendall Lodge has not discussed here. The truth is, in Parliament, we are always basically banging each other against our heads with the Senate for the simple reason that we are always fighting over money issues. Yes. And the Senate feels that we have always, because Parliament has the responsibility of setting up the budget, this revenue allocation, you know, we have problems there. Their money, they have not gotten what they were supposed to get. So even for oversight, even these issues they are taking to court may not necessarily be about...
When you say Parliament, what do you mean?
National Assembly.
Yes, and this is a common
problem.
Parliament is the problem.
But anyone knows Parliament consists of National
I can tell you something, Gituku. If we had given them the money they want, these cases would not be in court.
Right. Honorable Gathenge, just as you also weigh in on this conversation, then is the National Assembly purposely frustrating the Senate? The 5 pending bills that we've just talked about. He has just talked about 2009, where they purposely made sure that Senate remains the lower house.
I think these wrangles are not new, and this is also not the first time we've had challenges with the Senate as a chamber in a bicameral house. I mean, historically, before even the 2010 Constitution, in the early 60s, we had a Senate, and it was done away with, and here we are back again. The challenge has been the definition of roles. The Constitution should have done, as my brother here says, a better role in delineating and defining the roles of each house or each chamber of the house. And this is now what has caused this kind of attitude in the National Assembly, that when you say Parliament, you mean the National Assembly. And also because historically we have, from the 60s to date, we have not had Senate. So that culture has been ingrained in us. And I think we need to be a bit more clear as to what we want the Senate to do. Those wrangles, I mean, he elucidated it very clearly that the two speakers are from the same party. How then can you not agree? So the issues about power play, the power lines between the National Assembly and the Senate, who actually has more power and more say in what gets done in terms of national agenda. The county, the Senate also, of course, constitutionally mandated to deal with matters county, but then you see again, counties don't exist in a vacuum.
So should Senate
they exist in the nation. Well, we even in Parliament, in the last Parliament, the 10th Parliament, we used to say that the Senate is the upper house and the National Assembly is the lower house, but with the upper hand. So again, it alludes to the issue of power play. That's where the lines are drawn.
But now it seems that the National Assembly is the upper house. So, I mean, do you agree with those proposals that we go to a referendum and change some of these matters, or can you manage the situation by going to court like the Senate will be doing in a few days or weeks?
I think this is a referendum matter. I think we need to resolve more than just the sibling rivalry between the National Assembly and the Senate. The issues about oversight and how much the Senate, they have. For a very long time, the county governors completely refused to appear before the Senate. There's a question about whether they should have oversight resources, and there's a question about whether they can sit in development forums and committees of the county. And there are many issues that need to go to a referendum other than the issues between. And there's another issue off record that we raised here. The Constitution never contemplated a situation where concurrently both houses originate bills. Yeah, a bill, for example, like the Data Protection Bill, assuming, for example, that while it is pending before the Senate at the third reading and not yet resolved, the National Assembly decides to bring it. Who badges? If both passes, I mean, what will happen? Those questions were never contemplated. Lastly, I wanted to address this question about, and Senate raised it, that the Supreme Court made an advisory that all laws essentially concern counties. With due respect, I think that could not be true. The only advisory I'm aware of that the Supreme Court made was in respect of the question on security. And they said, on questions of security, all bills actually touch on counties, and that all issues to do with security must necessarily go to the Senate. So if you were to look at it that way, and if there was such an advisory, it would fly against the provisions of Article 109.3, which reads that a bill not concerning counties, because the Constitution contemplates a bill not concerning counties shall be considered only in the National Assembly. So the Constitution contemplated that there are bills that would clearly go through the National Assembly and would never see the light of day in the Senate. They would go and pass.
The other issue, yes. I think it's important I say this, the other issue that has come up, and the Senator would agree with me, and my brother also would agree with me, we have a problem today as I sit here. We go and we start investigating a matter which has come under PIC or PAC. I happen to be the Budget Committee and the Implementation Committee. We then have the same facts, we have the same data, we have the same information. As we are beginning to interrogate this matter, the Senate starts on it.
Right.
So where we are as we speak, the Senate is not even necessarily interrogating matters counties. They are actually interrogating matters national. Because according to the interpretation, from what my brother said, 109.3, where we are, the Senate believes that in fact there is nothing that can pigeonhole them to discuss matters counties per se.
Okay, of course, that's an ongoing conversation. I'll not give you the chance because you are practically out of time, because people say that everything happens in counties. So people say that everything should concern counties. But let's take a look at...
These are three gentlemen from one house and one... Now listen, my brother said one thing.
He's from his house.
No, my brother said, he said one thing which is very clear. Let me just correct it, please.
I'll give you a chance, but after the feedback.
All right.
The tweets that we have and the SMSs on what you've been saying on 2242 as well as Citizen TV Kenya. What do you have so that you see what the viewers have been saying? Comment from Eldred. A ruling party should have sufficient discipline and make silent sacrifices to govern and serve those who put it into power. That is the voters. Jubilee is busy wasting this golden opportunity, and it is a big letdown to its supporters. The blame game goes to the party's leadership. Why would Jubilee Party and its members want to be in power again?
All right, that's on SMS, 22422 is our SMS line. Emily from Kajeri, you say, this is a battle of supremacy and politicians just want to be relevant, and this trend is hurting common Mwananchi. This selfish game should stop.
How does it stop? There's a tweet, I believe, or is it an SMS? Let's see, a tweet now. This is Kennedy Atinda says that our leaders at the end of the day will get their political wages from what they shall invest into the life of Kenyans for the 5 years in office, not by name calling and victimizing those who are working diligently for the poor citizens of Kenya.
All right, let's take a look at more. Stan, you say in this country it's an oxymoron to put democracy and political parties in the same sentence. Political parties are the reason why we have biased executive appointments.
Quite some deep views. Wow, that's a good name. The National Assembly outshining the Senate is indeed a description of how the national government despises county governments. It's about time this issue of who has muscle between the two should come to an end. It's about time.
Just briefly, it's going to be 10 seconds. What my brother said in terms of this issue of legislations and in terms of the opinions coming from the judiciary, if Kenyans ought to know that there was a decision by the Court of Appeal, which essentially killed the county assemblies.
Right.
Because when you come and say that the Senate should not oversight on source revenue, and that the governor cannot appear before the county assembly, what exactly are you saying? And all the money, their constitution is very clear. It's only one kitty where all revenue goes.
Right.
So really, we really have to be careful. The judiciary has got to really look at the law in its entirety so that we don't kill county assemblies.
All right.
Because that decision essentially killed county assemblies. No governor will appear before the county assembly. They will send their CECs
Indeed.
to be able to go there and appear.
All right. And
but the Senate, that decision confirmed that the governors must always appear before the Senate
when called
to respond to issues national based on the money that has been given to them from the national cake. So it is a little bit contradictory that now they divide. Okay. So what we are asking is that if that decision is to be implemented, then we should have two budgets. One budget on on-source revenue and one budget on the shareable revenue. And then they put it in another country because you see the constitution of Kenya will not allow that.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Leda Molekina from Narok. Quite some views there. Mheshimiwa Richard Onyonka from Kitutu Chache South. Dungo Gethenje, former member of parliament for Tetu. Will you run soon in the next election?
I'll be very active in some way, shape or form, and as the people of Tetu are watching,
okay, and then Mheshimiwa Anthony Loch from Mathare constituency. Thank you so much for making time for us. We take a short break, but when we return, we'll be speaking to the Senator of Elgeyo Marakwet and also the leader of majority at the Senate, Kipchumba Murkomen, who comes in to talk about several matters, including some of those that you touched on. So stay tuned to the show, and you can text us your views on 2242, Twitter's at Citizen TV Kenya, at Sam Gituku, and at
Zinzi_K. But also remember, this being a Monday, we'll also be discussing mattress football, and Willis Raburu will be having that conversation. Hopefully, we'll get to touch base with our reporters in Egypt and discuss AFCON. So it's a conversation you might want to stick around for.
Right.